Alright guys, last video I put that Sonic EXE VHS and I was sent into this world. It's so scary, I don't know what to do. Holy crap, is that Shadow the Hedgehog?
Look, we gotta get out of here. I've been able to hold off Sonic EXE for now, but what do we do?
Don't worry, Shadow. I got this. Sit down, let me explain the plan. You see this video here? I'm gonna do a part 2.
How is that gonna help? Shh, just watch.
The last time I did a lost media video for Sonic the Hedgehog, it did really well for the channel, quickly becoming my most viewed video on the channel. So I wanted to say, thank you everyone for the support. It really does mean a lot and I appreciate everyone who watched and subscribed. In that video, I talked about how if that video did well, I'd make more videos talking about even more lost media related to Sonic the Hedgehog. And it did well, so we're making a part 2. So let's keep this simple. I'm gonna follow the same format as the first video. I looked into 6 topics related to lost media with Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm going to discuss each of these 6 topics in their own separate sections. So let's not waste too much time here and just jump into the main contents of the video. Welcome everyone to even more cases of lost media in Sonic the Hedgehog. This topic was brought up by Big Boy the Gamer in my comments of the last video, so I decided to look more into this. Sonic the Hedgehog has had a lot of video games, but this one I find the most interesting because it's based on the show Sonic SatAM. Despite the Freedom Fighters never making a proper game appearance besides their small cameo in Sonic Spinball, at one point they were going to be in a game and actually be main characters with story significance and all. Sonic 16 was going to be a game set in the world of Sonic SatAM. The game was going to be very different from other Sonic games at the time. This game was being thought up during the 90s. And at this time we had the classic stuff like Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. We know these games, right? High-speed platformers, very fun and iconic stuff. Sonic 16 was going to take the Sonic franchise in a new direction. Instead of a high-speed platformer, it would have been a much more slower game. It was an action game, more like a beat-em-up type of game. Now in terms of actual footage for the game, we have this demo video showing Sonic moving around in the game, beating up enemies with different moves, and even fighting enemies from the show, like the SWAT bots. At the end of the footage, Sonic even meets up with Sally herself. This video was first released in 2008 by a channel called Mondo Mole, but the actual footage itself was created by, oh boy, I'm gonna mispronounce this, Peter Morek and John Dugan, with a copyright of November 1993. The copyright date helps us give an idea of when this game was considered, in tandem to be released with other Sonic games at the time. Now then, why was this game never made? Well, there's a really simple reason as to why. Yuji Naka just didn't like it. The game was radically different from other Sonic games at the time, especially due to its more slower nature, which many people speculate this being the reason why Yuji Naka didn't like it and gave a thumbs down to the project. It's really as simple as that. Due to the cancellation, we would never get the Archie characters in a Sonic game. Sonic Blitz, save us all. I think most of us remember that there are some versions of Sonic that have a sister. Think about stuff like Sonic Underground or the old Sonic manga with Nikki. Both of these Sonics have sisters, no other version really does. But at one point, there was going to be a video game made about Sonic's sister. Sister Sonic was going to be a role-playing video game for the Sega CD, different from other Sonic games at the time. Again, we had the high-speed action platformers during this time period. Now, what's interesting about Sister Sonic, it wasn't really a whole new original game. Sister Sonic was meant to be a reskin of this other game called Popful Mall, which was very popular in Japan, but Sega thought in order to release the game in other places, it would be best to give it a Sonic-themed makeover. Exactly like when Nintendo made Super Mario Bros. 2. We all know that game was a reskin of Doki Doki Panic. The reason why we even know of Sister Sonic's existence is due to Electronic Gaming Monthly, in which they made a report of rumors going about that a whole new Sister Sonic game was being made. But once fans of the original Popful Mall caught wind of Sister Sonic being a reskin of that game, fans would end up sending a ton of hateful letters to Sega, demanding that they don't change the original game into a Sonic reskin. And that was it for Sister Sonic. We don't know how far the development got. We don't even know if the fabled sister of Sonic got a design made. the original game would end up being released in English, unchanged, putting an end to whatever Sister Sonic could have been. I truly wonder if somewhere out there a prototype design exists for Sister Sonic. I'm really curious what she could have ended up looking like. But I guess we'll never know. Hell, we don't even know if the prototype design even exists in the first place after all. Before I continue into this next section, which is a really long one, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. With your help, yes you, we can reach 3,000 subscribers and really grow our community here. Where else are you gonna get cool Sonic videos? Alright, let's continue. Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric. We all know that game. It didn't end up doing well and just kinda killed the steam the franchise had up until the first Sonic movie came out. We all know about the challenges faced by Big Red Button when making Sonic Boom. Sega would sign a deal with Nintendo to release exclusive Sonic games on their Nintendo consoles. Big Red Button did not know about this. When working on the game Sonic Boom, they believed it would come out on more powerful consoles. Once they found out about Sega wanting this game for the Wii U only, it all kinda went downhill. But okay, look, I'm not necessarily here to talk about why Sonic Boom failed. I'm here to talk about lost media. More specifically, I'm going to talk about Sonic Synergy, the lost original build of Sonic Boom. Now you see, this story takes us all the way back to 2007. Sega was looking to update their iconic franchises to have more Western appeal. Which, side note, is kinda stupid, because Sonic was and is already way more popular in the West than even in his own place of creation, Japan.
知ってるかなあ、マリオマリオこのキャラクターはわかんないなんだっけ名前わかんないけど見たことありますおお、じゃあ名前2人とも知らないですかはいそうに
But that's besides the point. You know, some time later happens and bam, Big Red Button is called to work on Sonic Synergy. Big Red Button being this group of ex-Naughty Dog developers. Big Red Button is essentially tasked with making a new sub-series for Sonic, including redesigning the characters to weird results. Yes, these are official designs that were thrown around for what Sonic could have looked like in this new game, and frankly, they look weird. Some look straight like Disney background characters, but over time, as the designs developed, we got closer and closer into what the final design would look like, landing on these designs for Sonic. Look at this one, it has 10 arms. Or we had this one as well that had blue and 10 arms at the same time, with fingerless gloves. The designs at this point kind of flip-flop between these two. For Sonic Synergy, it had a slightly different story than the final game. Lyric, for example, was an owl instead of a snake. Time travel was going to be a major part of the game, especially in terms of showing off Sonic and Eggman's origins as enemies. We even have some concept art of what a younger Eggman would have looked like. Really missing the egg design of Eggman, isn't it? But okay, Big Red Button was developing ideas and designs for this game. We landed on some more refined designs for each of the characters after Sega informed the team to keep the characters more in line with the looks of their modern designs. Big Red Button would develop the game thinking it was going to be released for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. All's well that ends well, right?
All's well that ends well, right?
Some trailers were even made showcasing the game and the characters, and the graphics look way better here than in the final release of Sonic Boom. So what gives? Why did we get Sonic Boom instead of Sonic Synergy? Well, as I explained before, Sega signed a deal with Nintendo to create exclusive Sonic games for their consoles. One of the games Sega wanted to make a Nintendo exclusive was Sonic Synergy, meaning the team was forced into developing the game on a weaker hardware than before. Along with that, Sega was making Sonic Boom a full-on brand, with TV shows, comics, and toys, which meant they wanted the game to be more in line with the show and comics, which were very much more comedy-focused. This meant a lot of rewrites had to happen, which frankly killed early ideas Big Red Button had, especially with telling the origin story of Sonic and Eggman. They even got rid of Sonic's fingerless gloves. Sad day, I know. When all is said and done, this left us with Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric in 2014, which no one liked. Sonic Synergy is now lost media because we can't play this build. We don't have access to this game. Most likely it didn't get too far, but we at least know some of it exists due to the aforementioned trailers showing off Sonic Synergy. Besides those trailers and a boatload of concept art, we even have some images of the game itself. You know, this one here implies a battle mode of sorts would have been in the game, but the build itself, it's just lost to us. You know, never say never in terms of us ever getting this build. Other Sonic games have had their early builds released somehow, but as of now, it's lost media for us as Sonic fans. The Sonic movies are very popular and good films. I really like them, and I'm excited to see how each installment continues to expand on the world of the movies and connects more and more to the games. But did you know, many years and years ago there was supposed to be a Sonic movie made in the 90s? Sonic Wonders of the World would have been the very first Sonic movie ever made for the franchise, with the idea being that it released in tandem with Sonic Extreme to help it promote that game. The story of the film is as follows. Josh, a 12-year-old boy, for a school assignment, is supposed to read and write a report about this famous pilot called Sonic, who was killed in an explosion in an attempt to break the sound barrier. Side note, if you watched my The History of Every Sonic manga video, you may have recalled me talking about a Sonic manga featuring a story very similar to this test pilot. Sonic the Hedgehog story Gaiden features a story of a test pilot who breaks the sound barrier but dies in the process. It's interesting to note that this movie would have had aspects of story Gaiden. Anyways, continuing. Josh doesn't know too much about the story of the test pilot, which causes his teacher to be mad. He's supposed to be giving a presentation here. Josh is picked up and taken home later by his dad Hal, a super genius. Hal would end up leaving Josh home alone because he needs to find parts for his machine. Josh recalls his dad telling him not to mess with the XRI, a machine made by his dad. Despite warnings from his dad not to touch it, Josh does it anyways. What results is Josh trying to ask the XRI to make a full paper report of Sonic the test pilot, which the XRI can't because it doesn't know about this test pilot. Josh then decides the next best idea is to plug in his Sega Saturn into the XRI with Sonic Extreme loaded on the Sega Saturn. Because of this, what ends up happening is that Sonic and Eggman jump out of the TV screen, leaving the game. Eggman escapes and Sonic follows, but Sonic realizes that him being in the real world causes him to get weak, meaning the longer he's in our world, the weaker he gets. To speed this summary up a little more, Josh's parents end up seeing the damage that was done by the XRI and get mad, resulting in Josh being sent home to his mother. Sonic ends up finding him, and pleads with Josh to help find the Chaos Emeralds. Finding the emeralds will help Sonic gain his energy back. Then, later on, we learn of Eggman, who's trying to take over the world, but with the emeralds. Along with that, we learn that Eggman managed to hire Hal for his company in order to use his XRI machine. Eggman plans on using the XRI to digitize the wonders of the world. With this, Eggman plans on making an amusement park. That looks great and fun. But, in reality, the people who come to this park end up being transformed into his robotic slaves. Sonic and Josh realize that to save the world, they had to send Eggman back into the game. So they do this by acting as bait, and all three of them end up going into Sonic Extreme. A final fight happens, and Sonic tells Josh that he has to go back home, but Sonic will stay in the game. By the end of the film, Josh is back home with his dad. Hal realizes that the XRI is too dangerous of a machine and puts it away to never be used again. The film ends with Sonic winking at Josh before continuing his adventure in the game. Whoa! That was a lot, and pretty simplified. But I wanted to give you guys a bit of an idea of what this movie was like, since I know not too many of you would know about this film. But okay, back to the lost media aspect. What is lost about this film? The script? Some early version? Concept art? Well, none of these. You see, the film never actually ended up making it too far into production. Too many issues arose that resulted in the movie never being made. The main issue being Sega and MGM couldn't come to an agreement over the film. What resulted is this film's treatment being made, and that's about it. No script was made, as again, production didn't end up going that far. Film treatments are all we have of this movie, and even then, 2 pages of this film's treatment are gone. They're missing. We don't know where they are. But regardless of these 2 pages being missing, due to this treatment, we were able to gather the idea of what this film was going to be about. The reason we have this film's treatment is because of Jacob Berkeley. Hopefully I said that right. You see, this guy was doing research for his book about Sonic SatAM, and in his research, he was sent a copy of this treatment by, let me just put the name up. He was given permission to share it online, which is why we know about it. Interestingly, about a year later, we got our hands on an even earlier treatment for the film. Mad Max 3 was selling this treatment on eBay, and Will from the Game Show Game was the one who bought it. A live stream would later happen, as everyone on the stream did a full reading of this earlier treatment. And this earlier treatment is a little interesting too. I'll link it in the description if you guys really want to read it. Hopefully one day we find these remaining pages. It'll be cool to have the full treatment and the full concept of what Sonic and the 7 Wonders of the World could have truly been. Only time will tell if we ever see these remaining pages, I suppose. With Sonic Racing Crossworlds coming out pretty soon at this point, I think it's fitting that one of the things I talk about in this video is lost media related to a Sonic racing game. Now, there are a ton of racing games related to Sonic, from the Riders games to even some mobile games and even Team Sonic Racing. But I feel the most iconic sub-series in terms of Sonic racing games definitely has to be Sonic and Sega AllStars Racing, the kart racer that puts some of Sega's most iconic franchises together to race. Sonic and Sega AllStars Racing came out in 2010, and like every video game ever, a prototype exists. But this early prototype for this game was actually very different. Look at this screenshot here. Each of the characters had their own unique way of racing. Sonic was on foot, Tails in the tornado, Amy in a car, and we even have Gilius Thunderhead, who was later fully cut out from the final game. There's some art and concepts of this build, specifically showing off Gilius and designs for Amy's car. But other than that, this image here is the real meat and potatoes of what we can see in terms of this early prototype. The reason why everything was put in carts and vehicles in the final game was because this early version was not fun. It was hard to tell the different characters, especially due to how different their sizes were and their hitboxes. For example, you have Sonic on foot, who's kind of a small guy, but then compare that to Tails, who's in his tornado, he's in a giant machine. These two characters already right there have massively different hitboxes. So, to avoid a problem like this, everyone was just put into vehicles. You know, this would later lead to people online asking why Sonic drives a car, but come on guys, the answer is so simple. It wouldn't be much of a competition if Sonic ran himself. He's too fast. Other than that, that's really all we got in terms of this early build. We don't have any gameplay footage of it or any more images of it. We know it exists because we have this image of said prototype, but any more information about what it was like, we just don't have on our hands. Anyways, Sonic Racing Crossworlds looks good. I'm excited for it, guys. Yippee! Now, if you watch my Every Job Sonic Has Had video, plug, nudge nudge, a wink, you'd remember I talk about a certain game called SegaSonic Popcorn Shop. In that game, you as the player would order popcorn on this arcade machine, but with a twist. Once you ordered the popcorn, you would have to help Sonic and Tails get the popcorn to you, stopping Eggman from ruining your order in a simple minigame. You know, it's a nice little fun game that gives you popcorn for playing it. But the reason I bring it up here is because there was meant to be another game like this, but for cotton candy. SegaSonic Cotton Candy Scrambler. This game would have had Sonic and Tails on the tornado traveling the sky into the clouds, which would then turn into cotton candy for the player, you, to eat. Eggman of course comes in and tries to ruin everything. The idea is literally the same as Popcorn Shop, just with cotton candy this time. The reason why I mentioned this game though, is cause it was never released. As far as we know, we have a couple images of what the machine looked like, and that's kinda it. The arcade machine was shown off at the Japanese Amusement Machine Show in 1994, then never again. This image here shows the start screen of the minigame itself, but other than that, we don't have too much more information about this game. We don't even have the full gameplay of what the minigame was like. Was this game ever meant to release? Who knows? But it got far enough to have a machine fully made with gameplay as well. So why it never ended up being released, I truly don't know. You know, maybe Popcorn Shop wasn't that successful. Whoa, so Shadow, do you think that'll help us escape?
What? No, that was useless. Oh no, I think he made it.
Wait, who?